Hey guys, Snorkel back again with Daniel and Johnny here, and we just got back from seeing Logan, the final Wolverine movie with Hugh Jackman in the role, who's been doing it for almost 2 decades now.
Yeah.
And not only was it his last performance, but it was also Patrick Stewart's as Charles Xavier, Professor X. And this was directed by James Mangold, who did the last Wolverine movie. This time, they went full rated R. Fox said, fuck it, just do what you want to do.
They didn't back off of this R rating at all. I mean, this was probably the most violent movie I've ever seen, probably.
I wouldn't go that far. It was fucking violent, though.
It was extremely violent. If these things were to happen, people would die, like, violently, and they showed it like it would, like you were there, basically.
The violence, I mean, when it first happens in the very beginning of the film, the first time, you know, stuff goes down, you're like, holy shit, like, this is like, wow, this is so cool, like, we've never seen this before. And then it just gets, like, they really go, and it's dark, and it's, like, it's not fun to watch. Like, it's really fucked up.
Yeah, if they had kind of, like, built up to it, like, little by little, and then at the end, like, shown a lot, I guess that would have been one thing, but it was, man, it was almost too much. I respect the fact that they showed it, like I said, because it would be, like, realistic, but...
It wasn't too much.
It was too much.
It was just really dark. Wolverine is, you know, he's down on his luck, to say the least, and he has to take care of Professor X. And he's living right along the Mexican border, and he's working as basically almost like an Uber driver.
Yeah, he's like a taxi Uber driver, like type of thing, like chauffeur.
And this is a couple decades in the future too, I think.
Yeah, it's like 15 years in the future,
yeah.
Or just over 10 years actually. And basically, they kind of give it away in the trailer. We're not going to say anything, but they showed it. Basically, we kind of know who the little girl is, basically, without spoiling it.
Yeah,
he's become her guardian. They kind of have just met. He's become her guardian, and they're on this. Basically, it's like a road trip type of movie. Basically,
yeah. Wolverine in this one is definitely the reluctant hero.
Yeah.
Which Wolverine always is, really. He's not anyone that wants to, hey, let's be buddies and fight together and stuff, you know. And Hugh Jackman fucking knocks it out of the park. I mean, he has been like the Wolverine for years and years, but this is his best performance.
Yeah, he's Wolverine. I think. Potentially, other than Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr., he is probably the best, like, adaptation for that specific character from the comics, like, acting-wise.
Patrick Stewart also gives a great performance as Professor X. The young girl, Daphne Keane, this is the first time I've seen her, and she is really young, but she's really fucking good.
Yeah, she's pretty good. She does a pretty good job, and I think the filmmakers did a good job in understanding that Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman are really good actors. And they're really good actors in those specific roles. And to not give anything away, they handled her character in a way to where she didn't really necessarily have to match up with them in a certain way in acting, but she does a pretty good job. It's not a fun comic book movie. It's not Transformers.
Yeah, it's definitely not fucking Transformers.
It's a heavy.
James Mangold did. You know, I think he had not the best experience doing the last movie. I feel like the big thing that happens in the third act, the big fucking metal samurai guy, was probably like a studio mandated thing. They're like, you gotta have this big action set piece at the end. And this one, obviously, he sat down, he was like, I want to fucking go for it. This is really gonna be his last one. Let's do rated R. Let's, you know, really fucking make a story that people are gonna care about. And they went with the Old Man Logan inspiration, obviously. And he includes, you know, this little girl who's, you know, a mini Wolverine, basically. He really fucking had a vision, and the studio let him do it, and it's gonna pay off in spades, no question. See, good things happen when you let filmmakers with a good vision go and make the movie they want to make.
Now, there's one main bad guy, I guess, that you see throughout the whole movie. I think he does a really good job, on top of the other actors that we already talked about.
The villain, he was much better than Ajax from Deadpool. It was like the weakest villain of last year, maybe.
Yeah, what a just...
I mean, he was lame.
I was pleasantly surprised by the movie and some of the locations that they were at, and it was a different take on just, like, superhero movies, because we always see, like, the big city and, you know, stuff like that.
Every fucking Marvel MCU movie is in New York City, or if it's Iron Man, it's in fucking Malibu or some shit like that. But this one is like, it's in El Paso, and then it becomes, like you said, this road trip kind of thing where it's through middle America.
Okay, for the final scores, I'd teeter on this one with, like, the brutality of the movie, and I think it was just too much, in my personal opinion. People that are sensitive to that type of stuff could definitely struggle watching this movie all the way through, so I'm definitely sensitive to those type of feelings as well. Overall, the character work by the main actors, super good. It was really nice to see Patrick Stewart in a really, like, meaty role, maybe for one of the last times in his career. Hugh Jackman, obviously, you have to give him 2 thumbs up. I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. It's a little I wanted to give it more, but I just couldn't. It was just a little too brutal throughout the whole movie. I do appreciate that in some sense, but other ways I'm just like, it's a little too much.
I definitely am going higher than that. I thought the violence, while it's definitely fucking brutal and hard to watch, I thought it served the story. I will give Logan.
Whoa,
Not Wolverine, not the Wolverine, and definitely not Origins. I will give Logan a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean,
It's definitely one of the best in the genre, and the emotion that is in this movie. It's so much more, and the connections you make with the characters. Obviously, the older ones we already have connections to, but then like the younger girl and some of the other minor characters that show up. It's definitely a strong, like, towering, like, movie inside of comic books.
All right, guys. Now that we finally gave our score and stuff like that, we're gonna jump into a couple of spoilers here. One of the main reasons, and we can talk about it in any order. There's like no specific order. One of the main reasons I docked the score a little bit. Was because the girl's mom, but she wasn't really her mom, the nurse from Mexico, I thought it was like super like almost ridiculous how they had the nurses, and she was like, oh, we felt so bad about it, but they were like, for like 10 years they were like treating these kids like slaves basically, like injecting them with things and stuff. I was like, you had 10 years to walk away and you never did that. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think they grew attached to the kids, and they were like, if no one else is going to take care of these kids, we have to fucking at least try.
I don't know. I just didn't think that made any sense to me. To me, that was like a stupid thing. They could have had it a different way, I guess.
Professor X dies going into the third act, I would say.
Yeah,
and it's quite a twist, because you think Logan is in the room with him, or so you think it's Logan. And he was just out helping out this family they're staying with, and then he comes back to the house, and Professor X is doing this monologue about how he feels bad about all the things he's done, which he didn't have control over, because as it's revealed, he has these seizures and his powers go fucking crazy. And Logan comes up and like sits next to him and puts his hand on his chest, and then his fucking claws go right through him.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck is going on? They're talking about how they have this new weapon, they don't need these kids anymore.
Yeah.
So you're like, I kind of forgot about that. And then it's holy fuck, it's a Hugh Jackman, he's playing himself.
But he looks younger and he has like his head shaped, basically.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. And then, so he just kills Professor X, and he's bleeding out, and then he fucking slaughters his family, and he's trying to take X-23, who is the little girl.
He goes on a rampage.
He goes on a fucking rampage, kills all these people. Him and real Logan fucking, go off against each other, because Logan arrives and tries to save Professor X.
Yep. And
he dies, and it sucks. And then, so that is, quite the sequence there. And then at the very end, it's a final battle between X-24, who comes back, and fucking Logan, and they just fucking go like ballistic. And X-23 also gets involved. And
it's a big fucking mess.
It's a big fucking mess. Logan is dying. He's being poisoned not only by his adamantium skeleton, but he also took this medicine, which allows him to be really strong for a short period of time to help these kids get away. He manages to help these kids. He defeats X-24 with the help of X-23. But in the process, not only does he weaken himself, but he gets fucking impaled on like a log, like a big
tree or something.
It like goes through his stomach. And he's weakened, so he's not going to regenerate, and so it's like over. And X-23, who, spoiler alert, this is a kind of a big plot point, is his fucking daughter.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I don't know if you knew that. I don't know if they put that in the advertising at all, but that was a surprise to me. And so,
I just kind of assumed because of how they always like made the trailer, and right when she had claws, I was like, oh, this bitch is probably his daughter.
Yeah, and it's explained because this company that was housing these kids and creating them were taking the genes of these old mutants, and that's how she came about. But
yep.
She walks up to him and she's like holding his hand, and she calls him daddy for the first time, and I'm just like, fuck. Like, I'm like, this is just rough. And then he says like his last words and then dies.
And then he dies.
And I'm just like, oh. And then there's a scene where all the kids like come together and bury him and say goodbye. And
did they say anything about these kids? Are they going to potentially like
I
reboot?
I think James Mangold said he wants to do a movie with X-23 as like the lead. I don't know if that would keep this younger actress and like keep her as a kid, or if they would age her up a little bit, or if they would use a complete like an adult like actress. But that's a cool idea. I would love to see what James Mangold does next, because clearly he knows what the fuck he's doing.
Thank you guys for watching our review. We have tons and tons and tons of other videos. Please go check out all of our most recent reactions to trailers and things like that we just did in the last 3 or 4 days. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel to see all of our upcoming videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time.